Do you often say this to yourself? If I stay strong, grounded, and focused, other people's stress won't affect me. But here's what's actually happening. You walk into a meeting, and within minutes, you feel tense. Someone on your team is overwhelmed, and suddenly your body tightens. A conversation gets emotionally charged, and even if you say nothing, you leave feeling drained. And you might think, I just need better boundaries. But what if it's not just about boundaries? What if your nervous system is wired to absorb the emotional state of others automatically? Because today I want to show you something most leaders have never been taught. You are not just managing people, you are managing nervous systems. And whether you realize it or not, your body is constantly reading, mirroring, and sometimes absorbing the stress of the people around you. And today I'll show you why that happens and how to reset your system so you can lead without carrying everything. Let's start with a concept that is foundational to understanding this. Your nervous system is not isolated. It is constantly scanning your environment for signals of safety or threat. This process is called neuroception. It happens automatically below conscious awareness. Your brain is asking every moment, am I safe here? And if it doesn't just look at your environment, it looks at other people, their tone of voice, their facial expressions, their breathing patterns, their level of tension. Humans are wired for something called co-regulation. This means our nervous system naturally influence each other. If you've ever felt calm around someone grounded or anxious around someone stressed, I know I have, you've experienced this. And here's where it becomes important for leaders. As a leader, you are often exposed to multiple emotional states, right? In your team, within your team, outside of your team, within the company, outside of the company, competing demands, people in stress or uncertainty, and your nervous system is constantly processing and adapting to those signals. There's also research around something called emotional contagion. This is the idea that emotions spread through groups, often without words, which means stress is not just communicated, it's actually felt. And high-performing leaders, especially those who are empathetic, are often more sensitive to this. I know I am. And we call ourselves empaths or just very in tune with our emotions. But it's actual science, neuroscience. They pick up on subtle cues, they anticipate needs, they feel the room, which can be a strength, of course, right? Because then that makes you a really good leader because you are in tune in terms of what's happening around you. But it also becomes exhausting, right? When the system doesn't reset, especially when we don't give it the time to reset. If this happens repeatedly throughout the day, something important occurs. Your nervous system begins to accumulate stress that isn't entirely yours. You may notice tension in your body after meetings, mental fatigue after conversations, emotional heaviness you can't explain. And you might think, I just had a long day. But in reality, your system has been holding multiple nervous system states all at once. Think of yourself like a sponge. Throughout the day, you absorb. You absorb pressure, emotion, urgency, and if you never release it, the sponge becomes saturated. This is why so many leaders feel drained, not just from their work, but from the emotional load of leadership. This is where your breath becomes critical, because your breath is constantly telling your body whether to absorb or release, whether to contract or soften, whether to stay in stress or return to safety. So now let's move into something more practical. And I hope I didn't overwhelm you with this information, but I thought it is so fascinating that the science is there. It's so clear. So now let's get practical because awareness is powerful, but embodiment, that's what creates real change. I'm going to guide you through a simple reset. This is something you can do between meetings after a difficult conversation or anytime you feel like you've absorbed a little too much. Ground yourself as step one. Sit or stand with both feet connected to the ground. Feel the support beneath you and let your shoulders drop. Step two, breath reset. We're going to use a simple pattern, inhaling through the nose for 4, exhaling through the mouth for 4, with a slight pause in between the inhale and the exhale, and then again between the exhale and the inhale, pausing very naturally as you normally would. Now, I prefer that you inhale through the nose and then a slight sigh through the mouth. Or if you feel comfortable, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. And if you can, lower your gaze and just look at one point, or close your eyes to really tune out the outer world. Let's begin. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. Continue on your own. Inhaling for 4, exhaling for 4, with a slight pause in between the inhales and the exhales. So as you're breathing, the third step is to release what's not yours, bringing awareness to your body and noticing any tension, heaviness, or tightness. And as you exhale, imagine releasing anything that isn't yours to carry. Again, inhaling, exhaling, and then releasing. Continue breathing at your own pace, breathing normally now. And on your next inhale, imagine drawing your energy back into your body. So back into your center, back into your presence. And what you're doing here is shifting your nervous system from co-regulation back into self-regulation. You're reminding your body, I don't have to hold on to everything. This activates the parasympathetic system, reduces accumulated stress, and brings you back into clarity. This, my beautiful people, is real-time nervous system reset. Not hours later, not at the end of the day, it's in the moment technique. So here's your challenge this week. After every meeting, take 60 seconds. That's 1 minute. It's not a long time out of your busy day. Just take that 60 seconds to reset your breath. Inhaling for 4, exhaling for 4, and just watching that natural pause in between. And consciously making an effort to release what isn't yours. Because leadership isn't about absorbing everything. It's about holding space without carrying the weight. The most effective leaders are not the ones who take on the most. They're the ones who can stay present, stay grounded, stay clear without becoming overwhelmed by the emotional field around them. This is emotional mastery. And it's also self-care, because when you regulate your nervous system, you don't just feel better. You become a better leader, a better person. Not only for those on your team, but for those around you. Even your family and loved ones, your friends, they will notice that regulation that you're able to instantaneously access. And please don't wait until you are super overwhelmed or maybe even at the burnout stage. Just do it as a daily practice. 60 seconds, 1 minute of this breathing in for 4, out for 4. In between meetings, in between conversations, just something to allow your body to reset, consciously releasing what is no longer yours. And maybe you can even consider those parts of your body that are feeling that tension. Channeling the exhales to that part of the body helps to release the tension. And that's not just me making this up. It's not woo-woo. This is actually research. They have done some fMRIs and they can actually see the parts of the brain that are sending messages to help to release that part of the body. So it does. The brain is super powerful, as we know, but we can use the breath to our advantage as well. So if this resonated with you, I'd love to hear. Comment below. Do you ever notice yourself absorbing the stress of others? And what do you feel during that reset? And if you know a leader who carries a lot for others, share this with them, please, because sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is learn how to hold space without holding stress. So I'll see you next time. Ciao for now.